It all begins with silence. At first, no one notices that you are only 7 years old, looking into the eyes of your crumbling mother. Perhaps it is addiction, anger, or just the deafening emptiness of a person too broken to be near. In your youthful mind, something ancient clicks. If I don't piece it all together, no one will. This is how a child begins to disappear. Not physically, but psychologically. They start to smile more, cry less, and learn to read the atmosphere in the room before they speak. He becomes the emotional thermometer of the house, a small adult long before his mind is ready, and the world admires him. How mature you are, how responsible, how strong. But no one stops to ask at what cost. This is the invisible sorrow of those who grew up too fast. Today we delve into the psychology of this child, for the consequences do not fade with age. They shape your personality, following you in relationships, career, and sense of self-worth. And if you do not realize what has happened, you will spend your adult life repeating survival habits that once saved you, but now slowly destroy you. Let's start with what happens at the developmental level when children are made to be emotional support for adults, not the other way around. Psychologists call this parentification. It's when a child becomes a caregiver, peacemaker, therapist, protector. And it's not just an unhealthy situation, it rewires their brain. The constant duty of emotional regulation, both their own and others, creates hypervigilance. You are always on guard, as if walking on eggshells, realizing that love is a transaction. You offer calmness, and in return, perhaps gain security. You understand that your desires are dangerous, while others are paramount, and you disappear not physically, but emotionally. In your place, a version of you forms that handles the situation well. You become a good child, a quiet achiever, a therapist friend, the one who never asks for anything, and you wear this mask so convincingly that you even forget it's just a facade. But deep down, something hurts. Something demands attention because the inner child you buried is still alive. It silently screams, "Why did no one protect me?" With age, the symptoms become more complex. You can become excessively independent, refusing help, pushing people away, never feeling safe in love. It may be hard for you to enjoy happy moments because joy feels unfamiliar, undeserved, and even dangerous. It's hard for you to relax as productivity is the only way to feel your worth. The most troubling part is that you may not even realize you remain in survival mode. When dysfunction becomes the norm in childhood, your nervous system perceives chaos as the baseline. Silence feels wrong, peace is suspicious, and love is a debt to be paid. This is the psychology of a child forced to grow up too soon. It's not just sadness, but a deep trauma that alters your perception of the world, and more importantly, of yourself. Why does the child willingly take on this role? Children are ready to do anything for attachment, even sacrificing themselves. This is not a conscious choice, but instinctive behavior. When they lack safety, they abandon their true essence for a sense of belonging. This is not a sign of weakness, but a manifestation of intelligence and instinct. However, the tragedy is that what once saved you now keeps you captive. Many of us lead the lives of highly effective adults, governed by a deeply suppressed inner child. We strive for achievements to earn love, silence our feelings to avoid rejection, care for others while secretly hoping someone will ask how we feel. And this dream that someone will notice you are not as strong as you try to seem, and perhaps you can finally relax and receive support, is an unfulfilled need of the immature part. The child who never managed to become a child. The first step to healing is not fixing, but acknowledging. Until you realize what happened, you will deceive yourself, thinking, "It wasn't that bad, others had it worse, I'm coping just fine." But normal is also a mask, and deep down you know what happens to this child when they grow up. They become an adult who never feels safe, even in a quiet room, a partner who does not trust tenderness, and someone who cannot accept. This is a person who apologizes for their tears, flinches at compliments, and confuses fatigue with success. The price of such rapid maturation is too high. If childhood taught you to be strong through tenderness, to be silent instead of honest, to help others while ignoring your own cracks, what will your adulthood be like? You will constantly hold your breath, waiting for someone to finally give you permission to relax. But here is the truth. No one will come to save the child you buried. You need to return and take his hand to tell him what no one else said. You didn't deserve this. You were just a child. Now you can rest. This is the beginning of working with the shadow sides. Not fixing, not playing, not trying to cope with false optimism, but turning to the abandoned parts of oneself and saying, I see you, I hear you, and I will not leave. This process of healing can be brutal, as it requires feeling the pain you didn't have time for, facing anger, sadness, and unmet needs, mourning the birthdays no one attended, and grieving lost innocence while protecting those who were supposed to protect you. But this is not weakness, but proof of strength and healing, because what was frozen is finally being released. Now let's discuss how this survival pattern manifests in adult life, subtly, tragically, and often unnoticed. You can become a therapist in all your relationships, yet never truly allow anyone to see you. You may be praised for your independence, while deep down, you fear becoming a burden. You may find yourself in relationships where you constantly take on the role of the fixer, the manager, and the explainer, wondering why you feel resentment. It's hard for you to set boundaries, as saying no feels like betrayal. This is not your character, but survival strategies you've learned. The good news is that they can be unlearned, but for that, you need to stop idealizing your strength and start respecting your needs. One of the most powerful things you can do is to reach out to your inner child and ask what you needed when you didn't receive it. You may hear that you needed someone to say, it wasn't your fault, that someone cared how you felt. You needed to play, rest, and laugh without fear. And gradually, very slowly, you begin to give this to yourself not to fix the past, but to stop reliving it. Thus, you stop searching for your parents and your partners, confuse anxiety with intuition, flee from the child you once were, and from who you are becoming. Carl Jung said there is no knowledge without pain. People will do anything, even the absurd, to avoid meeting their soul. But working with shadows requires this meeting, with those parts that are abandoned, shy, scared, and angry. Healing is not about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. If you grew up too fast, know this. Your maturity was never the problem. The problem was that you had no choice, but now you do. You can choose softness, rest, stop managing others' emotions, and start valuing your own. This won't happen overnight. There will be days when you feel like a child again, and that's okay. This is the essence. Let that child come home, let them cry and play, let them finally be seen. You are not broken. You are becoming whole. Perhaps for the first time, you are growing up correctly, not under pressure, not out of fear, but through truth. You did not have a full childhood, but you have a future, and this time, you are writing it. Recognizing these patterns sometimes opens the way to healing.